I am 75 years old, and the thing the world keeps calling sad has turned out to be the wisest choice I have ever made. They look at an old man who stays home, who lets the days pass quietly in his own house, and they lower their voice as if something has gone wrong, as if my life is closing in on me. I want to tell you the plain truth from this chair by the window. Staying home is not my world getting smaller. It is my world getting truer. For most of my life, I believed the opposite. I believed that a man was worth exactly as much as he was doing. If I was busy, I was valuable. If my hands were full, my life was full. The shop was open 6 days, and I told myself the movement of the town, the coming and the going, was the proof that I mattered. 50 years I bent over that workbench, giving people back their time. And somewhere in me, a voice kept whispering that to slow down was to slip, and to stay in was to disappear. I am not ashamed of that voice. It carried me a long way. But I have come to see it was measuring the wrong thing. Because here is what nobody tells you. There comes a day, and nothing dramatic marks it, when the outside world simply stops calling to you the way it used to. No bell, no announcement. One morning, the noise out there is just louder than it was, the pace a little too quick, and the quiet of your own front room feels less like a cage and more like a harbour. That is not defeat. That is a man finally hearing himself. So let me say the thing I most want you to keep. Staying home at this age is not your life shrinking, it is your life refining. It is not weakness, it is self-respect, worn quietly, the way an old coat is worn. You have already proven whatever you set out to prove, it is done. You do not owe the world one more demonstration. And once you believe that, the gifts of a quiet house begin to show themselves. There is the matter of your energy, which becomes a precious thing now, the way good oil is precious. Every outing has a cost. Every promise you make pulls something out of you. Some of it gives back, and much of it, if you are honest, quietly takes more than it returns. So you learn to spend yourself the way a careful man spends the last of something rare, not scattered everywhere, only where it truly counts. A mainspring wound too tight does not run better, it runs worse, and it wears itself out sooner. I spent too many years wound too tight, and I only learned the cost of it late. So now I let some things go, and I do not chase the ones that will only drain me. That is not me giving up on the world. That is me finally taking my own good care. And I will tell you where I feel that care the most. It is at the bench, in the early part of the day, when the light through the window is still low and clean. I do not open the shop any more, but I keep the bench, and some mornings I sit down to it and take up a small movement that has come to me for mending. The loop goes to my eye. The world narrows to a wheel no bigger than a shirt button, and the fine tooth of it catching the light. Out there, a man my age is told he is too slow for anything. Here, slow is the whole of the craft. My hands are not as steady as they were, but they know this work the way they know my own face in the glass. And there is a kind of dignity in that which no busy street ever gave me. When the movement finally takes and begins to tick again in my palm, small and alive, I feel something in myself take with it. That is not a man who has shrunk. That is a man doing, at last, only the thing that is truly his. There is the way the whole of you softens the moment you are home. Out in the world you are alert, watching, bracing, reading every face and every step. Here, everything is already known. The light comes across the floor the same way it always has. The chair fits the shape of me. The sounds are gentle and familiar and ask nothing. A body that has been on guard for the better part of a lifetime can finally set the guard down. That familiarity is not dullness. That familiarity is a quiet kind of power. I did not understand that for a long time. I used to think the value of a place was in what happened there, in the coming and going of it. But a house you have lived in for decades keeps a kind of memory of its own. I know, without looking, which board in the hall will speak under my foot. I know the hour the sun will find the top of the workbench and lay a warm stripe across the wood. I know the particular way the kettle sighs before it comes to the boil, and how the last of the afternoon turns the window a soft grey before the lamps go on. None of that is grand. None of it would make a story worth telling to a stranger. But it is mine, every plain inch of it. And a man who is surrounded all day by things that know him is not a man alone. He is a man held. And there is solitude, which the world confuses with loneliness, though they are not cousins at all. Loneliness is an emptiness, a wanting, a disconnection you did not choose. But solitude that you choose is a full thing. It is complete. It is a room with space enough to hear your own voice again after all the years it was talked over and pushed to the side. I lost Margaret some time ago now, and I will not pretend the house does not miss her in every corner. But even inside that missing, the quiet is not empty. It holds her. It lets me sit with her still. And that is another gift of the stillness. When you stop filling every hour, the old memories come up on their own, the way sediment rises in a glass left to stand, the good ones and the hard ones both. And instead of rushing past them the way I did for 50 years, I let them come. I make my peace with them. There is a kind of healing that only happens in the quiet, a mending that all that busyness never once allowed. A movement runs cleaner when it is finally left to settle. So does a man. Some afternoons, a small thing will start it. A cup set down a certain way, the smell of the tea, a slant of light on the arm of her old chair. And there Margaret is, as plain as if she had only stepped into the next room. In my busy years, I would have pushed that feeling off, told myself there was no time for it, and gone back to the work. Now I have all the time there is, and I have learned that these visitations are not a wound to hurry past. They are the house paying me back a little of what I once ran too fast to receive. I sit still, and I let them come. And when they pass, they leave me quieter than they found me, not sadder. That is the strange arithmetic of the quiet. Sit with a thing long enough, and it stops cutting you, and starts to hold you instead, and the body knows it too. When your surroundings are calm, the body understands that it is safe, and a body that feels safe begins to repair itself. The sleep goes deeper. The tightness in the shoulders lets go. The movements come lighter. I used to think slowing down was only taking things away from me. I know now it gives something back, quietly, without asking to be thanked. There is a peace that a calm room can pour into a tired body, and I felt it come to me here before I ever had a name for it. I could stop there and make it sound like a tidy little sermon, but I would not be telling you the whole of it, and I promised myself I would tell you the whole of it. Because the guilt does not fully go away. I was raised, as most of us were, to believe that busy was good, and rest was something a lazy man did. And that belief does not simply lift off you because you have grown old and wise. There are still afternoons when I am sitting here at peace, the light moving slow across the wall, and a small voice speaks up from somewhere old in me and asks whether I ought to be out there, whether I am falling behind, whether resting like this is something I have any right to. I want to be honest with you. That voice never fully leaves. I have stopped waiting for it to, but I have learned to answer it. Rest at this age is not a thing you have to earn. You spend a lifetime earning. This is not the wage. This is the rest that is simply owed to a man who has lived. You deserve it, not because you finished the list, but because you are still here. And staying home hands you back things you did not know you had lost. It hands you your own day, to shape as you please, no one setting the hours but you. It hands you your own room, the temperature and the quiet and the order of it all yours to keep. It hands you the choosing of who gets your time and your energy, and that alone is worth more than most of what I chased. And it hands you the small beauties I used to rush straight past. The light climbing across the floor in the afternoon. The rain running down the window while I sit warm behind it. The old war clock, near 90 years old, older than I am, ticking on in the next room the way it has all my life, asking me for nothing but a wind and a bit of oil. I never had the time to notice these before. Now they are half of what my days are made of. And I have found that the meaning of a life shifts near the end of it. For most of my years it lived in what I did and what I gathered and what I could show for myself. Now it lives in something plainer, in being here, in being grateful, in one more ordinary day that asks nothing of me but that I be awake to it. Not everyone will understand this. People who love you may push you to stay busy, to get out more, to keep up. Sometimes that push is love, and they are only afraid of losing you. Sometimes it is their own discomfort with stillness, because a person who cannot sit quietly with himself is uneasy watching another do it. Either way, you do not owe them an explanation. You may simply let them wonder and stay in your chair. So here is all I will claim, and I will claim it humbly because I am still learning it myself. Staying home did not shrink my world. It refined it. It sanded it down to what actually fits the man I have become. Peace, it turns out, never did come from keeping up with the world out there. It came from settling at last into myself. So if you are somewhere over 70, sitting in the home you have made, and a voice has told you that you are letting life pass you by, let me offer you a different picture instead. Sit in your own good chair, in your own good light. Let the day come to you and unfold at its own slow pace. Wind the clock, watch the rain, and be gentle, be very gentle, with the old and faithful heart that carried you all this way. Thank you for sitting with me a while. If this quiet talk was a comfort to you, I would be glad if you stayed for another one of these. And if you would care to walk alongside me a bit longer, do subscribe so the next one finds you. And if nothing else, leave a small like before you go, just so I know you were here. Take good care of yourself.